What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Movement6, and before we start, a huge thank you for everybody who subbed this week. If you're new here, drop a like, subscribe, hit those notifications buttons, and you will not miss a thing. Now, for people who know me, I'm a #1 Resident Evil fan. Especially #1. It's a game. If I close my eyes, I can navigate around the map blindfolded. Really. I was there when the game came out when I was a young boy. I spent nights, couldn't get any sleep, remembering the rooms, the rubies, the keys, where to go when I was stuck. It was a completely overwhelming experience. And up until now, I bought #1, #2, the original ones, not the remakes, but the original ones on my handhelds. On every console I've got it. The remaster, of course, which I think is fantastically done, the #1 remaster, and now the remake of part 2, of course, as well. Absolutely a fan service. I wasn't a fan of part 3 Nemesis because it was more action oriented, and that's also what I thought about the remake, which is not only way too much action oriented, but I think they absolutely destroyed the game with the remake they made. All the remake rumors go. Bear in mind, everything what we're going to discuss here today is a rumor until confirmed, because nothing is confirmed yet by Capcom, of course. But that there will be new remakes of Resident Evil games, that's for sure. I think that's for sure. It's for sure. But which one it is now rumored that Resident Evil 4 is going to be the next upcoming Resident Evil remake. Now, bear in mind, I'm not a fan of Resident Evil 4. I never was. Maybe I will step on your toes. I'm sorry for that. It's a personal note, and that's because it is way more action oriented than part 1, part 2, Code Veronica X, which I think is highly underrated as a game. And if you would ask me, remake Code Veronica X, for example. Seems that they're going to choose for Resident Evil 4, which was a big success. With a lot of people like this Resident Evil, rightfully so, I guess. It wasn't my game, but the only good thing about this game is that with the ending of part 3 back in the days, was that Raccoon City was destroyed and they could take the franchise in different directions. Now, Resident Evil 4 is under development, as rumored, of course. So let's have a look, because there are some big changes that have been allegedly made to the experiencing, the production, and everything surrounding that. So, as said, just take this with a grain of salt because nothing is confirmed yet. If you want to check out this article yourself, go to bloodydisgusting.com and you will find an article by Mike Wilson, which is published a few days ago. As awesome as the new reveals of the Resident Evil Village were, which they were because I'm really excited for this Resident Evil 8, some of you, including myself, were wondering just where the Resident Evil 4 remake was. After all, despite all the rumors, we haven't officially heard from Capcom about it. Well, it turns out, just another rumor, that the project had some major shakeups. According to the sources speaking to Video Game Chronicle, M2, who has supposedly been patched to work on the project, has had its role reduced significantly to the point that the mainline Resident Evil studio Capcom Division 1 has been brought in to lead a new direction. Well, if you're unfamiliar with M2, the studio is partly funded by Capcom and is comprised of some Platform and Platinum employees, including developers from the Metal Gear Rising, Bayonetta 2 teams, and the team contributed to the development of 2020's Resident Evil 3, which was far from a success. I never liked the original Resident Evil 3 game, but that's just taste, right? It took the franchise in another more action-oriented direction. But the remake was downright appalling, if not horrible. I think you could easily beat the game in a couple of hours, and they even took out some of the most profound environments and experience for the game. I think the game eventually was rushed because of the Resident Evil 2 success, and they wanted to repeat that. However, according to multiple sources, M2's role on Resident Evil 4 was significantly reduced following a key project review late last year of Capcom's Division 1, the internal team responsible for Resident Evil and Devil May Cry games, who will now take the lead. Reasoning for this change is due to disagreements with M2's desire to stick faithfully to the template of the original Resident Evil 4, which was partly influenced by fans' disappointment with the RE3 remake, which had several chunks cut out of it when compared to the original game. I think this game, of course having played as well, could only work if you stick to the original and then add things. Not cut out, but add things. I think the best example is, of course, Resident Evil 2 Remake, but maybe also the remaster of Resident Evil 1, where the entire look and feel, the experience, also the parts and the scenes and the environments are more or less the same, and they have added environments to update the experience. In contrast, Capcom's production team is said to prefer a direction which would see Resident Evil 4's remake inspired by the original, but with its own unique take on features, story elements and environments, while not being confined to the blueprint of the original. An example would be Resident Evil 2's remake and its use of Mr. X. Now, I don't see that as a complete depart of the original. I think Resident Evil 2 took the original and build upon it. From my perspective, Resident Evil 3, they took Resident Evil 3, took it apart entirely, and what is left, built that into a remake. That's why it didn't work. As a result, sources stated that the Resident Evil 4 remake would now be partially rebooted under the new mandate and see its release potentially delayed to 2023 as a result. While these things happen, it's no less a bummer. After all, Resident Evil 4 gave the series new life when it was originally released, and it's still one of the highest rated titles in Capcom's library. That's for sure. That's for sure, you know. And what I said about Resident Evil 4 is my taste. Will not resemble maybe your taste. If you like this game, you're in for a treat, hopefully, with this release. Now, I do sincerely hope that they give this Resident Evil 4 the same treatment as they gave Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil 1 Remaster. There's a profound difference between the two, of course. Resident Evil 1 was a remaster, Resident Evil 2 was a remake. The reason why Resident Evil 3 didn't work, because they took it apart completely, and what was left, they built it into a game. Resident Evil 2 was really made with the template of Resident Evil 2 original as a starting point. From my perspective, it would only work, and let's face it guys, remakes and remasters, it's a fan service. So the experience, the feeling need to be exactly the same of what people think or experiences back in the day, right? Now, if they want this to work, they should take it as a template and then build upon that. Otherwise, it's going to get the same treatment as Resident Evil 3, and that will be absolutely appalling. And I'm saying that from a perspective that I didn't like the original. You like the original, and I do hope that as a fan of the entire franchise, it will actually work and maybe going to change my perspective of the game entirely. Heck, maybe I'm going to play the original just to check and balance my own feeling about this game from back in the days, right? So I'm just curious, guys, how excited are you guys about the Resident Evil 4 remake? Do you think it's there? What do you think of all the rumors that are coming out? Are you a fan? I'm a big fan, guys. I'll be back with you shortly. Next week, I'm going live on 50 Hertz for a live stream with a set with techno. It's going to be a 4-deck hybrid set. Looking forward to that. For now, this was Movement 6. Back.